DreAllDay.com.
What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. This week's motivation is about accountability. What is accountability? I'm going to give a rough definition here, not straight out of the dictionary, but my own definition. Accountability is your ability to look at yourself and your actions or your inactions and take full responsibility for everything that's going on around you. You are holding yourself, this personal accountability is holding yourself accountable for everything in your orbit, even if you are not directly responsible for the situation being the situation. The other form of accountability outside of personal is allowing yourself to be held accountable by somebody else. For those of you who play sports, if you have a coach, the coach will hold each player accountable for the mistakes that they make, or at least they're going to hold you accountable. If you have a trainer, the purpose of a trainer is not only to show you new stuff and make you better, but also to hold you accountable to make sure you're working on your game, doing what you need to do. When you have a supervisor or a boss at work, when you have a mentor outside of your work or outside of school or outside of your sport, a mentor's job is to hold you accountable, at least in some ways, or teach you, set an example for you to start holding yourself accountable. The reason I'm bringing up accountability in this week's motivation is that the only way you can take on more responsibility in life is if you increase your level of accountability. You increase your capacity for accountability. You decide the way you can take on more responsibility in life is for you to say, I am the one who will be held accountable for this getting done. Right now, I'm only responsible for A and B, but listen, I want to be held accountable for C and D. I'm going to be responsible for those two. If you're not personally accountable, you can't possibly be responsible. And if you are not responsible, it's impossible for you to lead. This is the reason why this whole motivation exists, because if I consider people who watch weekly motivation are listening to these messages and can get something out of this are people who are leaders. You're either a leader right now, you're developing into one, or you see yourself becoming one in the future. You cannot lead if you don't take responsibility for things, right? Because what is responsibility? Your ability to respond to stuff. If you don't want any ability to respond to things, how can you possibly lead? You can't. It's a trick question. And if you aren't taking on that ability to respond to things, that means you're not being accountable. You don't want to be accounted for anything that's taking place. That's the same as being responsible for it. You don't want to be accounted for it. You can't be responsible for it. Therefore, you can't do anything about it. You cannot enact anything. You can't enact any type of change. You can't start things. You can't stop things, meaning you're not a leader, meaning you'll just be part of the rank and file. You'll just be a follower. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a follower. So some great followers become great leaders. But if you look at yourself and you see yourself becoming a leader in any time in your life, you got to step your responsibility up. The only way to step your responsibility up is that you need to be willing to be held accountable. And the only way to allow other people to hold you accountable is you have to be personally accountable enough to yourself. Accountable for your health, accountable for your academics if you're in school, accountable for doing what you're supposed to do at a job, at home, in your relationships with your family, playing your sport, being in the shape that you need to be in, showing up ready to do what you need to do. The more accountable you allow yourself to be to yourself, the more accountable other people can be to you. And actually, the less they'll need to be, because they see how accountable you are to yourself. They're like, you don't even need me to hold you accountable. You good on your own. The more accountable you are, the easier it is you can take on responsibility. And the more responsibility you take on, the more of a leader you become. That's just the way it works. Work on your game. Oh yeah, Work on Your Game podcast. Every single day, we cover these topics in depth. You want to hear me go deeper into this stuff? Work on Your Game podcast every day, wherever you get podcasts, Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud. Y'all know where they at. Look me up, look my name up, look at Work on Your Game. We already 600-700 episodes deep. Catch up to us. Work on Your Game. DreAllDay.com.